to Ray Dunlap for the interview.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see some great racing tonight at CMS with the two most recent Winston Cup champions? To my left, Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace, the last two champions. Bill, of course, in 1988 and Rusty in 1989. Bill, you've had incredible success on the super speedways. You hold the track the track record at 212 miles an hour at Talladega, but you got a little bit shorter track here at CMS.
Well, it's a little bit short of 200, but it won't be too bad tonight. Me and Rusty's going to come out and have a good time. I don't know if we'll ever make, maybe 100 down the straightaway, but it looks like it's a lot of fun.
I'm sure you'll be having a good time. Now, Rusty, over here, you are reeling right now because you just had a couple of wins in Winston Cup. Started out a little bit rough earlier this year. The first part of the year, Blue Max had a little bit of trouble, but you picked up the win at Charlotte and also at Sears Point.
Well, we just had a little bad luck getting going, and everybody has that. Every team goes through a slump every now and then, and we picked it back up and win the Coke 600 over at Sears Point, and so I just hope we keep the good luck continue throughout the year like it has been lately.
Now, you've run on a lot of short tracks because you competed in the ASA. You've been on, a lot of
short tracks throughout the Midwest and also running up Martinsville and some of the other tracks. But you've had a chance to get on the track here at CMS. What do you think of this fastest and finest 1/3 mile here in Columbus, Ohio?
Well, there's one thing about it. It's pretty round. I found that out this afternoon, and I never have run at this track yet, but it's going to be a good race. We'll have a good time tonight.
Bill, you've had a little bit of trouble so far this year with blown engines and also cutting a lot of tires and things, but it seems like right now you've got things kind of back on track. You had a great race up at Michigan. You only fell 12 laps short.
Well, Michigan was really good. We run so well up there, and we cracked an oil line there kind of probably 2/3 of the way in the race and ended up losing oil pressure and blowing the engine up. But the car ran so well. We're looking forward to going to Daytona this weekend. It's going to be a real hot race there, but we've been pretty strong on the super speedways. We sit on the pole at Talladega. Now they've restricted us and made them even smaller yet, so their speeds will probably be down a little bit, but I'm looking forward to it and hope we have a good day down there.
Do you think that's a good move with the smaller restrictor plate? It's slowing the cars down a little bit. You're not going to go 212 probably at Daytona.
No, we probably run, 193, 194 bracket. It's what they're looking at right now. I know Schrader and a couple other guys went down there, and that's what they ran. But, we'll wait and see when we get down there. We're supposed to start practicing there at 12 noon tomorrow, and we'll see where it goes from there.
You've done a lot of traveling in the last couple of weeks, and you got to get to Daytona yet tonight.
No doubt about it. I've been from Maple Grove, Pennsylvania to near Pittsburgh the other night, and then we was in Wisconsin last night, Columbus tonight, and Daytona tomorrow, so it's a pretty hectic schedule.
Well, you've got Mike Beam as your crew chief this year, and he has no wins in Winston Cup so far, but maybe you can get him one in Daytona.
Well, we run so close the other week at Michigan. I just about count that as one, and he's a real good kid. He works super hard, and he's real dedicated to the work, and I'm glad I've got him.
Well, best of luck to you the rest of the year here. Rusty, I want to ask you real quick. Let's hear it for Bill Elliott, ladies and gentlemen. Rusty, I got to ask you real quick. I know in 1990, you've had a good season so far. You're looking for great things. But in 91, you're going to be going in some different directions, leaving Raymond Beadle and Blue Max. What's next for Rusty Wallace?
Well, I just got a new deal going together right now, and I really can't say anything about it because it's not totally put together yet. But it'll be Pontiac, a Miller genuine draft. That's about what I can tell you.
Well, best of luck for you the rest of the year and also tonight here at the Nationwide Auto Parts Superstar Shootout. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace. Back up to you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we understand Bill Cantley drew a number 12 out of the hat. So it's a blind draw, and he'll have the opportunity or the dubious distinction of starting 12th in the feature event this evening, the 50-lap Nationwide Auto Parts feature. And now the lineup for the 4-lap Trophy Dasher, fastest 4 qualifiers. Fourth fast time in car number 94 with a time of 14.883. Robbie Dean, the Big Bird, alongside a good qualifying effort, undoubtedly the best ever for this driver here at Columbus. In car number 41, 14.745, it's Jerry Mitchell. We talked to Jerry a couple weeks ago about this car being a little different. Mike Bales and him dialing it in, and they're working on it. Another good time for a rookie driver here at the Speedway. Scott Drake, 14.672 inside of the second row. And on the tail, your fast qualifier, Bill Cantley, 14.645. 4 laps, your 4 fastest late model qualifiers. Okay, what's going on now? Starter Jim Paul has thrown the yellow light on. What we do here at the Speedway, if it's a false start, he goes ahead and throws the green flag. We do this so that we don't have a big pile up, especially when there's more cars on the track in the feature event or something like that. If it's a false start, he goes ahead, throws the green, and we don't have a big pile up where the front cars slow down faster than the back cars down in turn number 1. And he waits till they get on the backstretch, flips on the yellow, and we get them relined up and go again. And it was a good call indeed, as Robbie Dean had gained a car length or 2 advantage coming off the 4th turn. Again, Robbie Dean, too fast on the start. Normally this doesn't happen too much, but these guys are anxious this evening before a lot of pokes, and they want to make sure they do well. This is a prestigious race. Doesn't pay a lot of money, but it is a prestigious thing to pick up the win in the trophy dash. And it's bragging rights for the rest of the night until the feature event. So they do try very hard. Robbie Dean, Jerry Mitchell, Scott Drake, and Bill Cantley. And I think we'll keep that one. 2 front cars lined up. Nose to nose as they come by the start-finish line. Robbie Dean with an advantage down the backstretch. They'll complete lap number 1. Scott Drake coming in a hurry on the inside. Jerry Mitchell is 3rd. Bill Cantley, your fast qualifier, is 4th. Drake looks to the low side in the 91 car, the Lang Chevrolet entry. The Big Bird in the Cantley's Racing Parts entry. Your leader halfway. The cross flag signifying halfway by starter Jim Paul. That time by. 2 laps remain, just a lap and a half now, as Dean leads the 4-car parade down the backstretch. Dean with a little bit of trouble holding it down in the corners. Sometimes they feel like it's a little faster letting it slip up, but that also leaves the lane open for the guy behind them. This is it here, checkered flag, and it'll be Robbie Dean, your winner. 2nd goes to Scott Drake in 91. 3rd was Jerry Mitchell. And 4th, Bill Cantley. Hot lap for the first time ever. Car number 5, owned by Paul Storer. So a special treat. We didn't plan on any hot lap sessions, but he wants to make sure he's got an equal chance in that set of match races. defending Winston Cup champion, Rusty Wallace, in the Paul Storer-owned car number 5, usually piloted by Dick Dunleavy Jr. Again, Rusty never been on the Speedway up until this afternoon. He ran about 20 laps in Otto's car and was planning on driving the Nationwide entry. So we're giving him a couple of hot laps in the Paul Storer owned number 5. So there he is, Rusty Wallace with a couple of hot laps. So moving right along with the remainder of the program. Again, that match, those 3 match races coming up a little bit later. The lineup for the first 10-lap late model heat race in car number 12. Denny Dean in 12, alongside in 39, Randy Maynard Jr. Second row is Doug Blankenship in 70, and from Cleveland, Ohio, Tom Joy in 24. In the next row, in car number 90, is Ron Freebus, and alongside in 47, Larry Harris from Columbus, Ohio. And then, seems like these guys always qualify right together. The final car in the event, the other Larry Harris. This one from New Carlisle, near Dayton, Ohio. Again, they will race 10 laps, your first heat race, in the late model division. Cars, 10 laps, the first heat race in the late model division. We line these guys up by qualification times. Denny Dean on the low side. Randy Maynard Jr. holds that high groove. Of course, the low groove is a little faster, but Maynard takes advantage of a slip by Denny Dean to take over the lead in the Maynard's towing entry. Denny Dean runs second. Doug Blankenship in 70 is third. Tom Joy in car 24 from Cleveland fights it out with Ron Freebus for that 4th spot. Now Blankenship moves Denny Dean up a little bit. Sideways off the 4th turn is Blankenship. They collide, and Blankenship off the car, or off the throttle in 70. Some sort of problem in the 70 car. Maynard walking away with this one. Denny Dean still second. Ron Freebus will be the next guy to challenge Denny Dean. Okay, the reason for the yellow flag, as I mentioned earlier, we try to keep these guys honest, and when they qualify, there's apparently some sort of problem with Maynard's car. It wasn't running up to par and he is running too far under his qualification speed. Okay, if someone thinks their car is not running up to qualification or top caliber in the after qualifications, they have the opportunity to come to the officials, tell them they want to start on the tail of the heat race, and they are not subject to the breakout rule, as we call it. However, Maynard did not do that. He started in his planned position, and he went more than 0.15 of a second underneath his qualifying time in that race. So what we do is we throw yellow, put him to the back of the race, and adjust his qualification time so that he most likely won't do that anymore this evening, go under his speed. So his time will be adjusted to the faster speed. It's kind of like drag racing where they dial in a number, and believe me, I'm no drag racing expert, but it's similar in nature. Kind of interesting. People talk about drag racing. I've never been to an organized drag race, so it's really crazy. You would think I would be to a lot of those, but never been. So I have no idea, or don't have a lot of knowledge of drag racing. But it is similar to the breakout rule, where folks dial in times in drag racing. So Denny Dean is the leader. Larry Harris will go to the outside of Ron Freebus. Larry Harris in 47. Larry from Columbus. Harris now looks to the outside of Denny Dean. They were halfway that time by. Again, we cross the flags and show them the cross flags at the start-finish line. That happened the last time by, signifying halfway. Denny Dean sideways out of turn number 2. And Larry Harris takes the top spot in his car number 47. Next to try his hand at Dean will be Ron Freebus in 90. The other Larry Harris next in the parade around the car number 12 in car number 4. And a yellow flag. Tom Joy pulls to a stop over in turn number 4. Normally what happens is, especially in a heat race, when a car slows like that, they'll, especially because there's not a great deal of cars on the track, they will stop or pull into the infield. Okay, 7 laps now completed. As you might have noticed earlier, we always revert back to the previous completed green flag lap. That way we have a definite running order. What we do is we do a scoring job every time they come by the start-finish line. We write down the numbers just as they come across the line, and we always revert back on a restart to the previous completed green flag lap. Larry Harris, your leader. Ron Freebus second. And the new Carlisle, Larry Harris, is third. As I say, it's bed sheet time. White flag in starter Jim Paul's hand. Larry Harris, white flag, 1 lap to go. Ron Freebus second. Randy Maynard Jr., after starting on the tail, moves up to challenge Freebus for that second spot. But he'll be too late. Your winner will be Larry Harris. Ron Freebus will run second. Third goes to Randy Maynard Jr. Fourth, the other Larry Harris. And fifth, Denny Dean. late model division. These cars a little bit faster than those cars in the first heat race. We take the qualifying times, line them up accordingly. On the pole, the feature winner from this past Sunday night in the Firecracker Championship, the driver Dan Eaves, E-A-V-E-S. Eaves in 33, the car owned by Jeff Jones. Owner driver of 22 is from Dayton, Ohio. Guy owns and operates S&V Office Furniture, quite a businessman. This is Tom Randolph. Next up in car number 19, another businessman, the owner of the Body Works Body Shop. I believe that's in Centerburg, Ohio, over near Dayton. The driver is Carlton Smith. And outside in car number 2, from Miamisburg, Ohio, Pat Jones in car number 2. Up next in car number 15 is John Furry. John also from Dayton. And alongside in car number 11, we understand this guy has a birthday today. Happy birthday to Mike Stacy, 23 years old this evening. Mike Stacy in car number 11, car owned by Tony Rigney. And finally on the tail, one of your past track champions here at the Speedway, car number 81, Don Wetnall. Wetnall's uncle raced here years and years ago, Elsie Wetnall. And so from that standpoint, I guess he's sort of a second generation driver. Not really, but close enough. 10 racing laps. Dan Eaves with a bit of advantage through the first and second turn. Randolph slips a bit on the high groove. He'll stay out there and try to make it stick around 3 and 4. Eaves your leader. Randolph second. Carlton Smith and Pat Jones fight it out for the third and fourth spots. These cars tube frame, $30,000 machines, racing engines, and everything. Randolph still trying to try that high groove. Now he'll duck down in behind Eaves through 3 and 4. Pat Jones is now third. Jones with a slide in car number 2, and he spins. Excellent driving by both Don Wetnall and Carlton Smith to miss Jones. Okay, we have 3 messages for folks to go to the Speedway office at the base of the tower. Tim Klein to the Speedway office, Darrell Parsons to the Speedway office, and Kathy Maynard all have apparently phone messages at the Speedway office. That's at the base of the tower. So 4 laps are complete, just 1 lap, and they'll be halfway in this event. Okay, that's a no-no. Car number 11. Mike Stacy moved outside of Randolph through turns 3 and 4, gained the advantage down the front stretch, so he'll go to the tail of the event. You cannot jump on a restart. He pulled alongside. You must stay single file until you come out of the 4th turn. And Stacy was not. He was side by side with Randolph at the start-finish line, and that we don't allow. Completed, says our Coors scoreboard over on turn number 3. Thanks to the good folks at Coors in Golden, Colorado, Coors Brewing, and also Robbins Beverage Group for their support of racing here at Columbus Motor Speedway. Now Randolph moves outside of Dan Eves. He'll try the hag groove again. He tried it earlier in the race, but couldn't make it stick. Halfway this time. And Wetnall on the move all the way from the back of the pack. He started 7th in this event, and he's challenging for the lead with a vengeance. Wetnall on the high side. It's Eves on the low side. Wetnall working excellently on the outside. He'll complete 7 laps this time by, and Don Wetnall is the new leader. Who says there's no passing on pavement in pavement stock car racing? This track a good 2 lanes wide. Wetnall all the way from the back. Now it's Carlton Smith trying to challenge Eves for that second spot. He'll get the white flag this time. 1 lap to go. Furry sideways in 2, and he'll do a lazy loop. Car 15, John Furry. Track official Leif Irvin taking a look at car 15. Again, we had reports that there was a small fire underneath that car, underneath the hood. Once again, these guys run some serious race engines. Upwards of $20,000 just for the engine in these cars. 1 lap will be back underway. Apparently that situation corrected with John Furry's car. Down there, apparently the fire must have snuffed itself out. 1 lap will be back underway. 1 lap to go. The green and the white will be waved simultaneously. Half a lap to go now. Wetnall pulls away again. It'll be a race for that second spot as Carlton Smith makes his presence known on the outside of Dan Eves. Wetnall will win easy. Dan Eves is 2nd, Carlton Smith 3rd, and Tom Randolph finishes 4th. Heat race for the late models. We'll then run our street stock program and finally come back right before intermission with the late model last chance race with many drivers' last chance to make it in the 50-lap feature event tonight. The lineup for this heat race goes something like this. On a pole in car 36 is Randy Van Zant. Alongside in car number 5, Dick Dunleavy Jr. from New Carlisle, Ohio. The next guy from New Lebanon, Ohio is Bussy Blackford. And alongside in car number 83 from right near here in Pickerington, Lonnie Rush Sr. The third row from Pataskala, Ohio, Bob Edwards, and then comes John Ballo from Miamisburg. And finally from right here in Columbus, Terry Humphrey in car number 1. 10 laps. Blackford and Lonnie Rush Sr. going for that second spot now, right behind Van Zandt. 2 laps this time. Dunleavy begins to stretch it out just a little bit. Rush still tries that high groove. Again, this outside groove, the only way to pass a lot of times here at the Speedway, so a lot of guys will try that high groove in a heat race when there's not much on the line, trying to get dialed in for the feature. Dunleavy again stretching it out. Halfway, 5 laps down. Looks like Ballo in car 21 with a deflating right rear tire, I think. Ballo slowing in 21. Rush still looks for a way around Van Zandt. He looks to the inside now, while Dunleavy continues to lead. In the record books, Dunleavy, Van Zandt, Lonnie Rush Sr., and Bobby Edwards, the top 4. It's white flag time this time. 1 lap remains. And the winner of the 3rd heat race, Dick Dunleavy Jr. Second is Randy Van Zandt. 3rd by half a car length, Lonnie Rush Sr. Finishing 4th, Bobby Edwards. And 5th was Bussy Blackford. So it looked like possibly, we're not 100% sure, but it looked like Ballo might have had a deflating right rear tire. Ballo, of course, is the defending track champion at the Speedway. This guy finished, Ballo finished 10th in the regional point standings in NASCAR last year and was a track champion. But meantime, this guy was incredible in that heat race. You can bet Rusty was up watching the 5 car because he wanted to see how it was done, or at least how Dick. The street stock division, your top 4 qualifiers racing 4 laps. On the pole in car 22, your 4th fastest qualifier in the street stocks, time 17.838. It's Donald Parsons III. Flanking him in car number 3 from Columbus, Butch McAllister. His qualification run 17.681. Second fast and defending track champion here at the Speedway in car number 12. The run, his 1 lap time earlier in qualifications, 17.601. Big Daddy Don Parsons. And finally, your current point leader in this division from Columbus, also 17.478, the qualification run, Jim Cruz. Green flag. You might wonder what that pylon is out there. We set that out there to make the cars go above that so that we don't have a big pile up down in turn number 1. And apparently our starter has determined it was a false start. Again, that pylon, we put that out there on initial starts only. And again, that doesn't allow the guys to run down the bottom of that straightaway and get a run on people and take advantage, and then we have a big pile up down in turn 1 when that happens. So they're required to go above that pylon on the initial start. It's then removed. 4 laps to go. Parsons the third. Year later, they'll be halfway this time. White flag for Donald Parsons III. Big Daddy Don Parsons is second. He'll look to close in on his son, Donald Parsons III. Cruz hot into turn 3. He'll spin, but we'll finish it. Checkered flag for Donald Parsons III. Second is Big Daddy Don Parsons. Third, Butch McAllister. And fourth, Jim Cruz. Division, we've got 2 of these babies, I believe. 2 heat races tonight in the street stocks. This is the first one. On the pole in car number 95, Gary Forbes. And alongside in car 89 is Herb Pennington. The inside second row, car 33, Jim McCauley. And alongside car 45, Glenn Miller Jr. Car 68 is next, that's Neil Reese, and alongside of him in 24, Mike Hamilton. Then on the last row in car 36, that's Mike Cyrus, and then 39, Gary Mangus. Make that Ron Mangus. Ron Mangus in 39. Herb Pennington, your leader. Glenn Miller Jr. with a spin. Ron Mangus collects him. Red flag if the track is blocked. Back up at the front, it's Herb Pennington in 89. Gary Forbes in 95 and Jim McCauley in 33. Three abreast down the front stretch. And Herb Pennington comes out in front for the time being. Jim McCauley is second in 33. 95 is Gary Forbes, he's third. 3 laps this time around. By the way, they're racing an 8-lap heat race. Pennington now will look to the low side of McCauley, but he can't make it stick down in 1 and 2. Halfway this time. Halfway for these guys. It's still Jim McCauley, Herb Pennington, Gary Forbes, but now Mike Hamilton in 24 moves up to challenge Forbes for that third position. McCauley remains your leader. Pennington is second. Now Mike Hamilton up to third. He'll set his sights on second place runner Herb Pennington. And he's catching him in a hurry. Not a big hurry, but looked like he was closing in for a lap or so there. We're not really sure if he is or not. White flag this time. 1 lap remains. Jim McCauley Mangus with a half spin. Also Neil Reese in turn 4. There's Mr. and two Mr. Excitements. They'll go through a cloud of dust. And out comes Jim McCulley, your winner. Pennington is second, Mike Hamilton third, and Gary Forbes finishes fourth. Second heat race in the late model or straight stock division. Jerry Pauley on the pole in car number 8, and alongside, I think we're going to call that car number 83. The driver is, maybe we're going to call it 43, huh? Yeah, 43, Terry Pertee. Next up is Craig Osborne in 63, and outside in car 4, Phil Gussler. Fred Parsons runs number 21, and Danny Brown is in 2. Donnie Townsend Jr. is in 77, and that's Darrell Parsons in 25. And finally in 27, the last row, Dave Deisinger, and car number 6, Bill Wellman. So we've got a problem. Number 2, Dan Brown, apparently dropped some fluid on the racetrack. So we'll have to get that cleaned up, and we'll. Again, Jerry Pauley, and in 43, Terry Pertee. Craig Osborne and Phil Gussler in row 2, followed by Fred Parsons in 21, and Don Townsend Jr. in 77. Darrell Parsons in 25, 27, Dave Deisinger, and number 6, Bill Wellman. Terry Pertee, but Don Townsend Jr. trying to make that outside groove work. And now Townsend, the new leader. Don Townsend Jr. in 77. Terry Pertee in 43. Fred Parsons in 21. Fred Parsons squeezes beneath Terry Pertee, and Fred Parsons now runs second in 21. Following him through underneath Pertee, Dave Deisinger. Halfway, 4 laps down. Fred Parsons closes in on the back of Don Townsend Jr. He'll try to go beneath the purple 77, but not enough room down the front stretch. And Fred Parsons in 21 is out for rough driving. Disqualified, and somehow, how did that happen? Don Townsend Jr. remains your leader. Man, what a driving job by Townsend. Parsons made contact over in turn 3, and he was disqualified. White flag that time by. Dave Dysinger closing in on Townsend for that win. Checkered flag this time. It'll be Don Townsend Jr., Dave Dysinger, Bill Wellman, and Darrell Parsons, your top 4. What a driving job by Townsend. Last chance race, the last race before intermission. On the pole in car number 33, Dan Eves, and outside in car 4, Larry Harris from New Carlisle, Ohio. Second row in 47 is Larry Harris, this one from Columbus, and alongside in 90, Ron Freebus. Next comes car 39, Randy Maynard Jr., and car number 70, Doug Blankenship. And finally in car number 12, Denny Dean. 7 cars. The top 4 cars go to tonight's 50-lap main event. The top 4 cars transfer into the 50-lapper this evening. Again, they will run 8 laps. With a problem in 4, so we will not start. Harris apparently with some sort of problem in car number 4, and he'll retire from the event before it even gets started. We'll have to cross these cars over and get the event back underway. Means the next time we'll get a start. 4 cars transfer to the main event. Eves and Harris, Freebus and Blankenship, and Maynard Jr. and Denny Dean. 6 cars, 8 laps, 4 to the main event. Your leader. Now Larry Harris will try the outside groove. Ron Freebus is 3rd, Randy Maynard Jr. 4th. And now Larry Harris takes over that top spot in 47. Dan Eves now 2nd. Again, Ron Freebus and Randy Maynard Jr., that's your top 4. The race is on for that 4th spot because the 4th car is the last transfer spot. halfway. 4 laps in the record books this time around. He's right there with Harris. Freebus now about 6 car lengths behind. And now Eves tries the inside groove through turn 2. Harris will have none of it. White flag this time around. Larry Harris, still your leader. Dan Eves is second. Your last transfer car now is Doug Blankenship as Freebus runs third. But your winner will be Larry Harris. Second goes to Dan Eves. Third, Ron Freebus. And your fourth and final car into the main event as Randy Maynard Jr. developed a miss in that 39. Blankenship was there to take up the gauntlet. Again, Jesse Cyrus to the tower, please. Jesse Cyrus to the tower.